Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and today I'm going to be talking about why I am 28 years old and I've never been drunk. Sometimes I say I've never drank alcohol, but that's not entirely true in the sense that I've tasted many alcohols. I've tasted wine, I've tasted beer, I've tasted people's drinks when I'm out with friends and they have something but it's literally one sip. I've never had a drink to myself. I've never had a glass of wine or a pint of beer or anything. It's all just been tastes. And I've never been drunk. I've never experienced drunkenness from alcohol. So I'm going to be going over my upbringing a little bit of what my childhood was like in terms of my relationship to alcohol, and then kind of going into teenage years of drinking, and then where I'm at now at 28 and why I still have not drank alcohol. So when I was growing up, my parents, my mom, never drank alcohol. I could count on one hand the amount of times that I actually saw my mom drinking alcohol. My dad, on the other hand, drank quite a lot of alcohol. Obviously, as a child, I noticed it, but it was never something that was a huge problem. I know a lot of people have alcoholic parents and they have all of these horror stories about their alcoholic parents, and I don't really have those horror stories at all. Then my extended family never drank alcohol. So whenever we would do Christmas or birthday parties or Thanksgiving or any of those holidays when I was growing up, nobody was drinking alcohol. There was no wine, there was no beer, nobody was drinking alcohol at any of these family events, which I understand is very different from a lot of other people's families where they're any birthday party, any holiday, Christmas, whatever, my family is wasted, my family is hammered. People say that all the time. It's I have no experience with that. My family did not drink alcohol like that during the holidays. So it's looking back, it's I always thought, and I do think, my lack of drinking alcohol was a personal choice and was something that I consciously chose and is a path that I went down all by myself. But in hindsight, it's having so many examples of people who don't regularly drink alcohol and don't make alcohol into a big spectacle and it's not part of their lives. That definitely subconsciously contributed to my lack of drinking. So going a little bit deeper into, my life, about 14, 15, 16 years old is around when kids my age started to get into drinking alcohol, right? Kids are starting to experiment, have one tall boy, and I was a normal 14-year-old, 15-year-old. I thought I was going to drink alcohol just like everybody else. I wanted to drink alcohol just like everybody else, and there were many times where I was supposed to drink alcohol with my friends, but for some reason it ended up being that I didn't. Now, I remember it being very difficult to actually get alcohol at that age. You had to have a connection to an adult that wanted to give you alcohol, and we did not have any of those connections. My friends were all squares, and all of our parents and older siblings were not willing to give us alcohol. Yeah, the connections were limited. Now that I'm an adult, looking back, I'm there are so many easy ways to get alcohol. You do not need, but at that age, it's you don't have that knowledge. You don't know all these different avenues that you could get alcohol. But looking back, I'm there are so many ways to get alcohol. It's so easy. And I had a few friends with fake IDs, but it wasn't, the fake ID thing didn't really start until 18, 19, 20, I feel like. I had a friend who literally printed out, she photocopied her ID and she photoshopped it and printed out on a piece of printer paper. And she put it in her wallet, in the clear spot, and would just show her wallet to the guy at the store, and he would let her buy alcohol. And then we relied on corner stores that allowed children to buy alcohol. There were a few stores here and there throughout the town that it's they won't ID you, and they'll looking back, I'm we were literally so young and looked so young. I cannot believe that they just sold us alcohol without checking IDs. Not me, but some of my friends. So like I said, 15, 16 years old, reaching an age where I'm ready to drink alcohol. I think I'm going to be drinking alcohol like everybody else. But then I just started to get really turned off to the idea of alcohol from being around my drunk friends. And I know a lot of people can probably relate to this. There was a lot of like homie hopping, if you know what I mean. A lot of people like hooking up with each other's boyfriends, and a lot of like the alcohol made me do it, and just people embarrassing themselves. I mean, teenagers who have never been drunk before, cannot handle their alcohol, embarrassing themselves, being obnoxious, being cringy. And it just like really turned me off to alcohol. Like I said, homie hopping and like cheating on each other and breaking hearts. And I was just kind of like, I'm good. Like, I don't drink alcohol. Like, I don't know. I just made this blanket statement one day that was like, I don't drink alcohol. And then like it formed into my entire life. I don't drink alcohol became a phrase that was a part of my regular vocabulary, and it became true. I just never drank alcohol, and I never got drunk. I do like the taste of some alcohol. Like, I like the taste of beer a lot. Like, I worked at a brewery, and like we would get new flavors, and I would try them, like sample them, like 1 or 2 sips so that I could sell them to the customers. But other than that, like, I never drank alcohol. So yeah, I basically stopped drinking alcohol just because I was judgmental of drunk people around me who did drink alcohol. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate, because like I do hear a lot of people say like, oh, being sober around drunk people is so awful, like they're so annoying. I am so used to it. I mean, think about it. I'm 28 years old now. I started being around drunk people regularly when I was like 16. So if you think about it, it's like that's 12 years. Like every single party I've ever been to, every single event I've ever been to, weddings, gatherings, parties, whatever it is, everything, I have been around drunk people while being sober. Every single time. So I am so used to it now. I stopped being judgmental about it probably maybe when I was like 21 or 22. Like at that point, it just became very normal for me to be around obnoxious drunk people. And also, I think with age, people do become less obnoxious with their alcohol use. Like, people learn to handle their alcohol and they stop being so annoying. Now, the reason why I have stayed this way, I'm not religious or anything. I'm not Mormon. I'm not Christian. Like, there's no like religious or like, there's nothing tying me down to this promise, right? Until I was 24 years old. And I started thinking about it. And I was like, I'm going to have to get drunk eventually, right? Like, what am I doing? I've never drank alcohol. I could drink alcohol any day I want. I'm over 21. I could go to the store, go to the bar, buy whatever I want, and get drunk right now. Like, I was always thinking about it. Like, why? Like, what am I doing? When am I going to get drunk? And then I was like, well, it's been so long at this point. It's become such a thing that it has to be built up to like a special occasion, right? Like, it has to be a really big deal and a special occasion for me to drink alcohol. I can't just drink alcohol on a Wednesday or even a random Saturday. Like, it has to be something significant. And the amount of people who have told me like, I need to be there when you get drunk for the first time. Like, I want to be there. Like, you know, people have tried so hard to get me to drink alcohol. People pressure you, people question you, which I'm okay with because, like, I'm not a recovering alcoholic, so the conversation doesn't trigger me. But I know that a lot of other people are very triggered by the conversation. So this is what I told myself. I said, you know what? I am not going to get drunk unless I'm not going to get drunk until I make $1 million. That became my promise to myself. I don't know what $1 million even means. I don't know if that means that I have $1 million in assets or $1 million business or $1 million including my home and whatever, like, or if it's literally just a bulk $1 million in the bank. Like, I don't know what $1 million means. I just know that my plan is I will not get drunk until I make $1 million. And people scoff so hard when they hear that, and they laugh and they roll their eyes. And I'm like, you're scoffing because, one, you have no faith in anything and you just live your life for the Matrix. And 2, because you're an alcoholic. So you think that me putting off getting drunk for that long or that unrealistically is a bad thing. But I'm like, I've never been drunk before, so does it even really matter? I'm like, does it even really matter to me if it never happens? Although it is going to happen. I will make $1 million. But, it's like, it doesn't really matter to me if I never get drunk because I've never been drunk. So, like, who cares? Like, this is a goal for me to shoot for, and it's like a reward at the end, right? It's not so necessary for my life like it seems to be for everyone else. I'm not necessarily judgmental of people who drink alcohol, but I do think that there is I think alcoholism is definitely a thing that people misconstrue. Like, people think people have a very narrow-minded view of alcoholism where they're like, oh, if you just wake up and just drink all day and drink to the point where your life is falling apart, that's what an alcoholic is. I don't agree. I think that alcoholism is a spectrum, and I think that a lot more people are alcoholics than they would care to admit. It doesn't really matter if you're functioning. It doesn't really matter if you are, if it doesn't interfere with your everyday life. It doesn't really matter if no one notices. It doesn't really matter if it's not every single day. I think you can still be an alcoholic or still have levels of alcoholism when you are just dependent on alcohol. Like, if I said to you, I could give you $1 million right now, but you can never drink alcohol for the rest of your life. I mean, how many of you would say yes? How many of you would say no? What does alcohol mean to you? How important is it for you to live your life, to go throughout your week, to go throughout your month, to go throughout your year? And I'm not completely innocent. People think I'm completely straight edge. That is not true. I have smoked a lot of weed in my lifetime. I have experimented with some other substances as well, I guess you could say. Nothing too crazy, but I'm definitely not, I wouldn't say I'm straight edge. I mean, right now I'm straight edge. Right now I'm completely clean and sober from everything. But in my lifetime, I have tried different things. I've just never been drunk, and I've never really tried alcohol. It's interesting because my older brother has also never drank alcohol or been drunk, so that's interesting in terms of the examples that we had in our family and if that made an impact. And yeah, just definitely something to think about there. I am so excited for my celebratory $1 million party, my millionaire party, when I do finally drink alcohol. That's gonna be a crazy day. Everyone is invited. I promise all of you can be there to watch me embarrass myself on alcohol for the first time. I embarrassed myself enough sober, so I don't really think I need alcohol to do that. Also, I've noticed that some people really, some drunk people get very uncomfortable with me when they're drinking and I'm not. This is a very real thing. This is not in my head. This is not something that I'm making up. This is something very real. When I am not drinking and other people are drinking, they get embarrassed around me and they think that I'm judging them, and they're like, you're sober. They start making comments about how I'm sober and how they're drunk, and they're like, oh, you think I'm an idiot, you think I'm obnoxious, you think I'm this. And I'm like, I'm just sitting here. I never said any of those things, especially in my older age. In my teenage years, yeah, I probably was being judgmental of the drunk people around me, but now I'm not at all. I'm very used to it and I have no problem with it. And so people do start to justify their drinking. They start to be like, oh, I only drink this much, I don't drink that much. Or yeah, they start to say oh, you think I'm stupid. Or they're like, how are you sober right now? How are you sober around all of these people? And that just plays into my thing about alcoholism, because I'm they cannot imagine, most people cannot imagine going to a function, being around drunk people, being around alcohol, and being sober and not participating. So it does perpetuate a cycle of alcoholism, because so many people do not want to go out if they don't want to drink. People are like, I can't come out, I'm trying not to drink. And I'm like, well, I go out all the time and I don't drink, so why can't you just come through and not drink? But I think people are like trapped in their head with this stuff and they just can't be social without it, or they can't be around drunk people without it, or they get uncomfortable, or they feel like they're missing out, or they get embarrassed. Also, I've noticed with men, like hanging out with men who drink alcohol, this has always been interesting to me because I've been noticing it more and more as I've, been like dating and single. At first, men have no problem with the fact that I don't drink alcohol. They're like totally about it. They think it's fine. They think it's cool. They're cool with it. And then over time, I do start to notice them kind of pulling away from me and clinging on to like women that we're hanging out with that do drink alcohol. I don't know how to explain it. It's like if I'm like talking to a guy like flirtatiously, like I notice that they are cool with it at first and then they start to pull away. And then I just get this vibe from them. They don't outwardly ever say it. Nobody has outwardly ever said this to me, but I get a vibe from them that's like, okay, I'm tired of this. I need a girl that I can drink alcohol with. Like the fact that you're always sober bothers me. Nobody's ever said it out loud, but I'm not stupid and I can definitely read that energy. I see them start to socialize more with women who are drinking. It's probably just easier for them because like there is a wall there in terms of like I'm not drunk and they are, and like drunk people are super like, I love you, I'm so social with you, and they have this like drunken bond or whatever. But I've definitely noticed that with men in the last couple of years where they're vibing with me, but then like they realize that like I'm not drinking and they kind of move away from me and start gravitating towards the women who are drinking. So yeah, definitely something I've noticed. Even guys that I'm like a little bit more serious with, I've noticed like I feel like there's a pull away. I feel like there's I just wish that like I had a girl I was drinking with. But like I said, they'll never say it. No man has ever said that to me. Friends have said that to me, yes. But like guys that I'm like interested in, like they'll never say that out loud. But I can tell. So I cannot wait for all of you to come to my millionaire party. That's the simplest explanation of why I don't drink alcohol. And I do think about it a lot. I'm like, how does my body function compared to people who do drink alcohol? Because anytime you look up like a disease on Google, it's like things that increase like risk factors, and it's like alcohol consumption. And I'm like, am I like way more healthy than like my counterpart people because I've never drank alcohol? I do think about that a lot where I'm like, how does I wonder like what my organs look like compared to people who do drink alcohol. And people drink a lot more alcohol than they think or than they're willing to admit. Like drinking once a week at 28 years old is a lot more than I have ever drank. So I do think like there has to be alcohol is not good for you. Alcohol is not good for you. I know that there's a propaganda perpetuated that like red wine is good for your heart. It's like, okay, alcohol is not good for you. I think that it's propaganda. I'm not, like I said, not being judgmental. I eat a lot of unhealthy things. I consume my weight in sugar on a daily basis. Like I'm not a healthy person. I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying that alcohol is not good for you. And I think there's a lot of propaganda out there that's like, oh, alcohol sometimes is good for you. And I just don't buy it. I think that it's silly. And I think that it's just an excuse for people to drink alcohol. And that's fine. Like, I don't know why people can't just say like, yeah, alcohol's bad for me, but I'm going to drink it anyway. Like, people don't need to sell this magical idea that like alcohol is a good thing or good for your body in any way, shape, or form. And then there's another part of it that's like, why are you defending it so hard? Why do you need to defend alcohol so hard to the point where this has to even be a conversation? Just drink the alcohol. Calm down. You don't need to be so defensive about the health and wellness and antioxidant factors of alcohol. So let's just put that propaganda to rest. But one day, when I make $1 million, I will have filmed clips of the first time that I get drunk. I absolutely will. I'm excited. It's going to be so much fun. I'm more excited to have $1 million than I am to get drunk. But like I said, it's going to be a nice like tandem duo for when it does happen. But thanks so much, guys, for watching. I could talk about this topic for so long just because I've spent 12 years. I've spent 12 years listening to people's reaction to my story. I've spent 12 years watching people be drunk around me while I'm sober. There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack about alcoholism culture. Be unhealthy. Enjoy your alcohol. You know, it's fine. Enjoy your life. Do whatever you want. No one's making it out if you're alive. So, yeah, have a good time and get ready for my big millionaire party. Thanks for watching.